What's up, everybody? Hey, Tom Laird here, host of the Advice from a Call Center Geek podcast and founder of Expivia. For exceptional contact center outsourcing, trust Expivia. We're fully AI-driven, as all of you know, and can handle voice, email, chat, and all of your digital channels. Our 600-seat USA contact center is expert in healthcare, financial services, insurance, tech support, retail, and more. Experts on the NICE CX1 platform, we ensure seamless customer experiences. DM me or visit expiviausa.com for more.
This is Advice from a Call Center Geek, a weekly podcast with a focus on all things call center. We'll cover it all from call center operations, hiring, culture, technology, and education. We're here to give you actionable items to improve the quality of yours and your customers' experience. This is an evolving industry with creative minds and ambitious people like this guy. Not only is his passion call center operations, but he's our host. He's the CEO of Expivia Interaction Marketing Group and the Call Center Geek himself, Tom Laird.
Welcome back, everybody, to Advice from a Call Center Geek. My name is Tom Laird. I'm the CEO of Expivia Interaction Marketing Group. Expivia is a outsourced call center located here in northwestern Pennsylvania. And again, I want to just thank you all for listening. We have now hit over 4,000 downloads on the podcast, which blows my mind compared to when I started this a couple months ago. on a Christmas day, kind of in the basement while the kids were unwrapping presents, and decided to kick this podcast off. So again, thank you for all for listening. Thank you for downloading. Thank you for sharing this with friends and other colleagues, because it's really kind of taken off, and I really do appreciate all that. So again, for those of you who may be listening for the first time, hopefully there's some of you out there that are doing that. We are a call center podcast that's going to try to give you some actionable items that you can take back to your call center to improve your agent quality, to improve your overall center, and really, hopefully improve the customer experience that's happening in your call center. So we've tackled a lot of topics in our I guess 23, 24 episodes that we've done on our way to, really trying to get at least one episode out every single week for the first year, and we'll see where it goes if we want to even add to that into our second year. I was told, because I have a little bit of a cold, to stop sniffling into the microphone. So if I do that, I apologize. I'm going to really try not to and try to edit out any of that. If I do, I guess I slipped a couple times last episode because of my cold. But also, I was told, because we do have a following, that instead of at the end, I need to do some more things from a public service announcement at the beginning. So I'm going to do that so I don't get yelled at by my staff anymore. And I just wanted to start off to say, we do have a book. It's called Advice from a Call Center Geek book that is on Amazon. So if you're interested in some of the topics or any of the topics that we discuss here, just search for that on the Amazon search bar. It's like $3 for the ebook version, and I think it's $9 for the paperback. But we're updating that constantly. I also wanted to make an announcement that we talked to a little bit last weekend, but I think we have some firmer dates. So this fall, we're going to come out, looks like middle of October, we're going to come out with a new book. And we're going to do 101 games. Hopefully I can get to 101. I don't want to make it too redundant, but 101 call center games to use in your contact center. So hopefully we can improve some of your agent engagement. And also, I'm looking for games. So, I think I have enough here, but I'd love to hear some other things that you guys are using out there. So if any of you want to email me or you want to, DM me on Twitter, or, we have a little Facebook post that's looking for some suggestions, please go on there on the Advice from a Call Center Geek Facebook page, and I'll definitely give you some props in the book, and I'd love to hear some of that as well. Okay, so today's topic, we wanted to discuss and take a little trip around the world. I am a call center outsourcing owner and CEO, so I do have a little bit of experience in this. And another big topic that everybody asks is, how much do things cost all over the world, right? How much does it cost for someone to outsource to the Philippines or to India or to a nearshore location? How much does it cost in the United States or Canada? So what I wanted to do today is hopefully kind of educate a lot of you who may be looking to outsource, or just kind of wonder, what does it really cost when everybody says it's quote unquote cheaper, to go to the Middle East or to go to, India or Pakistan. So let's start with just, I guess, some of the ways that call centers bill, right? So on the inbound side, there's really, I guess, I want to say 2.5, ways that you're going to get billed, or you should think about being billed. Number one is on a shared inbound environment, where an agent can answer calls for normally 2 to 4 different types of clients. That's normally great for if you have a smaller program, or one that maybe is not as difficult. There's not as much training. It can keep your prices down a little bit because we're able to spread that out over multiple clients, and not just you paying for that one agent. Minutes for this range from as low as 30 to 45 cents a minute. When you're talking about going offshore, and it's more expensive. Obviously when you stay here in the States, because the call centers really don't have a volume play to help you out. Because you're normally going to have lower volume if you're in a shared environment. So you're talking anywhere from 75 cents to only 85 cents a minute. So the world that I play in, and I think more of the high end and the U.S. call centers play in, is really in the dedicated environment. So in the dedicated environment, you're really dealing with higher end type programs, ones that most of our programs are anywhere from a 4 to 8 week train. It's be very difficult for an agent to learn multiple programs of that difficulty level. So we keep that on the dedicated world. And then what we see, and we'll talk about pricing here in a second, but what we see offshore in some of the centers that are Eastern Europe, in the Philippines, India, they'll do a monthly charge, which is based on a subset of dedicated agents. You're not going to find that anywhere near shore or here in the States, but that's another option. That's why I say kind of 2.5 different options. And that's really on the inbound side, that's kind of what you'll see. So obviously a shared, a dedicated, and then kind of a monthly fee. The other kind of thing that customers are still looking for is there's still customers that are looking for outbound call centers, right? And basically those just are summed up into outbound hourly rates, right? So where you're just paying for a per hour rate, and we'll talk about those per hour rates when we talk about some pricing around the world. And then the other pricing structure on the outbound side is on the pay for performance or strictly commission based, which there are call centers that will take that. I'd be very careful of some of those centers, but basically they'll take just a premium on what they sell. And then obviously you have a hourly plus commission based call center. So they're going to basically recoup their expenses. So agent costs, maybe some telephony costs, and then anything on top of that, they're going to ask for a commission. So some of those inbound and outbound centers play in that world as well. But let's talk about the overall pricing structure. Mostly on the inbound and outbound side, it's relatively close to the same. So let's first discuss the United States, Canada, not Mexico, but really focusing on just the United States and Canada. So you're going to look, the average that we see on a per hourly, and we're just going to talk about dedicated. We can do the math into the shared here too, but $26 an hour is about the average, and it's moving to the average on the low end for call center outsourcing on a dedicated agent level in the United States. So, you're talking about on the per minute charge, if that's kind of how you wanted to do it, anywhere from 52 cents to that 60 cents a minute. So that's kind of where you're looking now. That's just the average, right? So now if you need something very specialized, you need dedicated agents that are insurance agents, you need nurses, you need something that's very highly skilled. You can go anywhere from $35 to $50 an hour, depending on the type of program that you're looking for. So, most of our clients are anywhere from 26 to 27 to 28, pushing it a little bit, dollars an hour. And then we do have some clients that need some very specialized things that we are, in that $30 to $32 an hour range. So that's kind of what you'll find in the States. So expect to pay anywhere from, I would say, $26 to $28 an hour for a dedicated agent. Now, granted, understand that that's an all-in cost, right? So that's not just paying for the agent. that's paying for everything. So from the agent to telephony charges, to your supervisor, to all the QA, to client service support, to reporting, to IT. So everything is rolled into kind of one cost. So don't think of it as just, wow, well, we're paying our agents $15, and if I outsource it, it'd be $26, it doesn't make sense. There's a ton of cost savings that you can get from that. But I would tell you, don't just look at the cost savings. Look at the value added. Nobody wants just kind of a butt in a seat anymore. You want to get the speech analytics, the really cool stuff that the outsourcers who just this is their only job can provide you. So that's one of the things. Don't get freaked out at that 26 to 28. Understand the value that includes. That's kind of a little bit of a cheap plug again, or a little bit of a biased speech for the outsourcers. All right, so let's move to kind of near shore. So we're talking. Mexico's a little different, but we're talking Mexico, Belize, Colombia, those type of call centers, and you're looking anywhere from in Latin America, about that $10 to $18. Mexico's right around that $18 to $19. You can find some $17, $16, so anywhere from $16 to really $19 an hour is where you're looking in Mexico, especially if you're looking for bilingual agents that are pretty close to home, that understand the culture of the United States. They can do things which is important, right? So if you have a customer and they're calling on, a week before the Super Bowl, these agents in Mexico are going to understand that, right? They understand the American culture, where if you go a little bit farther south to more of the Latin American countries, you can lose some of that. Now, not all everybody's, so there's some really good call centers out there that are near shore, but kind of understand that that's kind of why there's a little bit of a higher price and a higher premium for the Mexican agent, compared to somebody, a little bit farther south. All right, so let's go now, leaving the United States, leaving North America, leaving the near shore call centers, and let's get on our plane and fly over to Western Europe. Normally, Western Europe is pretty expensive, right? There's a lot of, high tax countries over there. So there's a lot of higher regulated minimum wages over there. So you can be looking to pay anywhere from, really $30 to $40 an hour when you look to outsource to Western Europe. A lot of people disagree with me on here, but it's not really a hotbed for call center because of that. There's a lot of other places, even here in the States, that are cheaper than looking to go to Western Europe. But still, there are some language things that do kind of please people and like, especially when you talk about a British accent or, getting into Spain and those type of countries as well. So there are some pluses, but it's going to be a little bit more expensive. Now, if you move to Eastern Europe, the rates go significantly down. So in Eastern Europe, you can be anywhere from $11, $10 an hour up to that, $20, $22, $23 an hour range. And the cool thing about Eastern Europe, and this is one of the things that I think is awesome, is the languages, right? There's so many call centers in Eastern Europe that have call centers that have 20 different dialects and 30 different types of languages. So it's a pretty cool play if you have a very international customer base that speaks a lot of different types of languages. The States probably aren't your go, but there's some really cool things that you can do in Eastern Europe that they have really done a good job on when it comes to languages and being able to speak and kind of hash all that stuff out. So that's kind of cool. If you look and we go to kind of Asia and the Philippines, we start to go down. The savings aren't as much as they used to be, but they're still significant. Same thing with India. But the Philippines, you're anywhere from 8, for a low end call center in the Philippines to, in that 12 to 14, so $13 an hour range. That's about where you are in the Philippines. Understand that it is cheaper, but understand that you need to make sure if that's where you're going, what can your customer base take from a foreign call center if you're a United States company and a U.S. company, right? Because there are really good call centers in the Philippines that have very well-spoken English associates, and there's some that are more in the countryside, that kind of have left that city metropolitan area. And while they're cheaper, maybe you can get them for $8 to $9 an hour. Some maybe even a little cheaper than that. You have to see what your customer base is willing to deal with as well when it comes to language. The other thing with language is India and in Pakistan, right? They're about the same. So again, you can get some really high-end Indian and Pakistani call centers, but we're talking prices here of $5 to $10, $11 an hour. But again, it's the same thing, just like the Philippines, understanding what your customer base can do. Now, these are very highly skilled agents, right? But the language barrier can still be something to get through. The other thing that I have seen and in talking to people as well, they're very black and white agents, right? And when I say that is they're going to follow a script, they're going to follow it to a T, but for them it's very difficult to sometimes be a little bit quote unquote creative with any type of customer service issue to understand how to really go to that next step of engagement. And that's just a cultural thing, and that's also something that we've really trained into these associates to kind of keep them, I guess, into right where we want them to be. So there's some pluses and I guess and minuses to that. So again, from a hierarchy of pricing, you're looking Western Europe is the most expensive at $30 to $40 plus. Then you're getting into the United States where the average is anywhere from $26 to $28. We can then look at Eastern Europe, which is in that $12 to $20, $23, $22, $23 an hour range. Mexico's in that $18, and then we talk about the near shore, which you can be anywhere from really $8 to $15 an hour, and then you go really offshore to the Philippines, to India, to Pakistan, where you're really anywhere from really kind of that $5 to $12, $13 an hour range. So the question that you just have to ask yourself again, and I've said this a couple times in the podcast, is what can your customer base handle, right? What type of questions and what type of service are you going to be able to offer there? We have seen a lot of customers that have decided to, instead of putting 300 seats in the Philippines, that they're going to put 100 seats and try to really utilize a mixture of United States agents and then self-service to try to kind of level off cost and also try to hit sweet spots and what customers are really looking for now. So that's kind of my, I guess, a little bit of a trip around the world. Again, I get a lot of questions asked about, how much it costs to go here, how much does it cost to go there. Hopefully this can be a little bit of a sounding board for you, or something that you could pass on to people to kind of give them a rough idea of how much they'd be looking when you're looking to budget some things for your first outsourcing. And hopefully that helps a little bit with some little bit of hardcore numbers. So again, thank you guys. That's what I got for this week. I'm going to try to get over this cold. Hopefully next week I can sound a little bit clear. I think I have done a really good job of not sniffling into the microphone. But again, if any of you can please like our Facebook, post a review on either Spotify, iTunes, or whatever outlet you guys are listening to the podcast on. Please passing this around too. I mean, this thing's really, like I said, we're over 4,000 downloads. Super excited for that. And, we're going to have some more information on, I would like to give that book out when we talk about call center games. I'd like to give it for free. So especially for the first 30 days, that's kind of what we did with the initial book. So there'll be some more information on that as well. But all right, guys, that's what I got for you this week. Thank you. I hope you found that useful, and I will talk to you next week.
This has been advice from a call center geek. Thanks for listening. Subscribe to the show so you're the first to hear next week's episode. Jam-packed with actionable takeaways you can implement ASAP. Chime in with your thoughts on the episode on Twitter @from_geek and on Instagram @call_center_geek. Also, take a look at our contact center operations book by the same name, Advice from a Call Center Geek, on Amazon. This podcast is sponsored by ExpiviaUSA.com.